Good evening. We'd like to welcome you to the Nicholas County Board of Education regular meeting, Monday, December 18th, 2023. At this time, please stand for a moment of silent reflection. Thank you. Please join the board. Pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, number 3, approval of the agenda. Anything that we need to?
Yeah, there's several changes on this agenda because of the weather. We have some cancellations. Number 5, our student representatives will not be here tonight, so we invite them to come back on January the 8th. They'll be here also with the Richwood students, so we'll have both high schools presenting on the 8th. On the second page, 8A and 8B, Devin Spinks was here for a presentation, and Jason Butcher with the SESC. Both of those have canceled. And then under personnel, the very first item, A, employed in the position of principal at Cherry River. We are not filling that position at this time. We're going to repost that position. And so that's being marked out at this time. And that is all that I have.
Okay.
Like to go to executive session after 14.
To discuss property matter.
Yep.
Okay. Approved minutes of meetings held on December 4th, 2023. Anybody see anything that?
Motion to approve the minutes?
Mr. Moose makes a motion to approve the minutes. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Ferguson. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay. Number 6, superintendent's information updates.
First of all, I met with Craig Chapman from the Nicholas County Commission on December 5th to discuss a couple items he brought to me to share with the board. One was dealing with our obligation, the cost obligation that we have for pro officers at the high school and middle school. Krista may be able to help me if I'm wrong with this number, but my understanding is that we are paying approximately $75,000 right now for those pro officers, and I asked him how much more they needed, and he said another $75,000. So I told him that, and I did this without consulting with the board, but just my own opinion is that if we have been discussing the pro officer situation since I got here in July, and it's certainly not a slap in the face at the pro officers we have in any fashion. It's just I always felt that pro officers would be more beneficial to the school system if they were our employees, full-time employees, that we would have total control over when they worked and where we had them go to. If we had a ball game or a continuous meeting of some kind, we thought we might need some police presence in. And I asked him, I said, would that be offensive to you in any way if we sought that direction? He said, absolutely not. He said, we're having trouble finding officers as it is. And so if we were able to find retired officers, for example, that we could recruit out of retirement to come in and work for the school system, it may be more beneficial to us on one hand, having them as our employees to be there the whole time the kids are there, and to help us with loading buses and parent traffic and all this kind of things. And it would free up his officers to stay on their job, in our county. Because when something comes up, spur of the moment, they have to leave our schools and go take care of what's going on around the town of Summersville. So I talked to Kristen a little bit about this, and we're pursuing the possibility of this, maybe considering, not for sure, but considering creating a posting to see how much interest we would have. We would be able to maybe post contracted positions to contract with some retired officers that might be interested in doing this. There will be some limitations with that, though. They would not have as much authority as an active police officer would be, but they would still be a line of defense for us. And the main reason we would want them is to protect our students, not necessarily to arrest them. But that is one thing that the current police officers do have the authority to do that they wouldn't have. So that's just something I think you'll hear more about in the coming months as to how we approach the pro officer problem. The other issue he brought to my attention was that there's a lot of citizens in Summersville who would like to have access to the track around Nichols County High School football field to walk on, and that has not been afforded them in the past, and he asked if I would to work towards trying to get permission to allow them to do that. If we could obtain that from the high school, and I think the high school kind of has the control of that right now, they would be willing to make sure they locked up afterwards, set certain hours, it would be open for citizens to walk on it, and they would be willing to open it up and close it if they could just have use of it. So that's something we're going to be discussing with the administration at the high school real soon. But those are the two items he brought to my attention. The second thing I want to bring up is the ALC program. As most of you know, when we started this year off the ALC program, we had about 15 students in there. It was a day program at our ALC facility next door. And the program went fine, and we're down to 2 students now. But we corrected a lot of the issues that I felt like existed in the ALC program by not transporting those students to school and not letting them to return after they served their time and went back to school, and not letting them come back, because we were finding that a lot of kids wanted to come back to the ALC because it wasn't as structured as what we preferred. But since we started the program, the students who have sent back to the high school have not been returned to the ALC. So that's been successful. What has not been successful is the State Department has basically directed us to, if we're going to have a day program, to put those students, whether they're expelled or suspended or what, on school buses. And I made a promise to our board members, or to our bus drivers, and to our board members, that that's something that I would not accept. It caused too many problems last year. It just led from one issue to another. And so we had parents transporting their children, and in most cases they did. They brought them to the ALC program for their classes, picked them up in the evening. But the state said, you can't do that, you've got to transport them. So I said, fine, we'll have an evening program instead, where we're not required to transport them. So starting the second semester, on January 17th, we'll have an evening ALC program, approximately 3 hours long. I do not have the exact time it starts and time it ends yet. We're still working through that. But by doing that, we would not have to provide meals to them, which is a burden on the high school. And it's not a burden to serve 2 kids, but it is a burden if you have 15 kids, you're trying to figure out how many you got and how many meals you got to prepare, and you got to get it up there to them. Yeah, they'll have plenty of time to have their meal before they come to ALC at 3 or 3:30. And it would only also be for expelled students. It will not be for suspended students. Students that are suspended at school level will simply be sent home for their suspension, if it's an out-of-school suspension. But the expelled students that unfortunately sometimes we have to do, those would be eligible to attend the ALC 4 days a week, Monday through Thursday, for 3 hours per day. So that's where we are with the ALC program. I'll give you a real quick update on our construction project, and then I'm going to let Mr. Hanshaw talked to us about the auction we had today. Today we had our last meeting with ZMM, our architects, and faculty representatives from Glade Creek Elementary School, Summersville Middle School, and Summersville Elementary School to discuss the design of the inside of the building. The floor plan and all the components therein, not the furniture and things, but simply the layout of the rooms, how they would actually be placed into the school site itself, how many rooms we needed of each grade, how many special ed rooms, how many bathrooms, all those kind of things. Very, very productive meeting. It was very positive. I don't think we had anybody who left today that felt like we had a bad design. And the good news about this, we expected ZMN to present our floor plan to the board for approval on January 22nd. Well, now that's going to be January the 8th. So we moved that up 2 weeks. So that will get us quicker down the road of getting our contracts bid out and those kind of things. Now, as I've mentioned in the past, we are still waiting final stamp of approval from FEMA to build this building. We are 99.5% sure they're going to say yes, and so we've moved ahead with this process instead of waiting for them to say yes. But every indication they have given us is that it will be a yes. But we can't actually turn ground. We can design the building, we can get the contracts ready, we do all that, but we can't turn ground until FEMA puts their stamp of approval on it. And that could be anytime in January, it could be in May, I don't know. I don't control FEMA. But they know that we're really pushing this thing, and FEMA has made it clear that they want this project finished off their books. And everybody involved with this, the Nicholas County Board of Education, the SBA, the governor's office, and everybody wants this done as quickly as possible, so we don't anticipate any potholes along the way. But that's where we are with the construction updates. And now I'm going to ask Mr. Hanshaw if he would simply give us a little report on the auction that took place earlier today.
While he's coming, so that the pro officer, that comes out of levy funds, correct?
That's correct.
Yes.
And what's in there for that?
I'll have to look and see what the total amount is. We get more money than that just for the pro officers, but we pay $75,000 to the county for those 2 officers, but we also pay $75,000 to the city for those 2 officers.
Right.
And to my knowledge, the city has not asked for any more money, and they are okay where they are.
That's what that was my
You want
point.
to talk to the mayor also.
So when we consider, we need to talk to
Where's the Ridgewood?
there's no one at Ridgewood.
Nobody does that at all.
No, because they're at
Correct.
Craigslist.
I didn't know if that's where the officers came from, if they came from this part.
Also, in looking at that
They're
agreement,
county, aren't they?
Yeah, the ones at Ridgewood are county, and the ones in.
Craig's a county commissioner, but the one here, Somersville, is from the city, so I would include him in your discussion. But
Yeah.
also in looking at that agreement briefly, it said that the pro officer could be used, in educating the students and in doing other duties other than just watching for safety, but should be involved in the education of the children. So I don't know, Mr. Beam was talking about doing that, so we would have control over what somebody could be doing, but in our agreement, the pro officers can be doing more of that than I think maybe they're being utilized for.
I know the city officer at the Somersville Middle School does interact in a lot of different ways with them. Sarah, Ryan, sorry. And he does interact a lot with them.
Also, will there be 2 officers then when the Ridgewood School is finished? One for middle and high, or will we just need one? Or
Since it's in one building, we may only need one.
That's my feeling. It's going to be elementary and middle school, so the middle school area definitely, I don't think we would need 2.
So that's something to consider also.
Okay, so as you guys know, we was trying to kind of give back a little bit and make sure our public had the opportunity to come and purchase our old iPads. They're about 3 years old. And we had a really good turnout. There was people starting to wait at the hangar at about 7:30 this morning, and they braved the cold and the snow, and they was way tougher than me, and apparently they like that stuff way more than I do. But we sold 819 7th gen iPads, 33 6th gen, and 19 5th gen, and we sold 60 interactive TVs. So all in all, we got $41,000 back out of iPads and $6,000 out of TVs. So we still have about 550 7th gen iPads, 560 6th gen iPads, and 230 5th gen. So I made a Facebook post and said, if the public wants to come here tomorrow, they can come and pick up stuff from here. And so we can keep trying to give back for those folks that didn't have a chance to come pick one up today. I can give you the, I'll send you the.
So, you think it'd be wise to put that out on the calling system as well?
We can, whatever you want. I can send that out tonight.
I mean, if we're wanting to sell them,
Yeah,
might get a few people.
yeah. We can get the same amount out of them to the recyclers. So if the people here want them, I would prefer to give them to our local community than somebody far away that's probably just going to put them on eBay and sell them. So that's why I wanted to have this auction. But yeah, I can put that on the call tonight.
On your Facebook post, did you tell them there's a limit?
No limits.
No limits now?
Since everybody had a chance to come and get them today, I don't feel like there needs to be a limit. If somebody wants to come and buy 500 iPads, that's fine. I mean, unless you guys have a different feeling about that. But I felt like they had all day today to come and get them. So everybody had a chance. There was a lot of people. I mean, so remember, there's 800 that we sold was a limit of 5 per person.
It was back down both sides, all the way to 41 and all the way up to Hope Gas. It was
Yeah.
both sides of the road, one lane.
I bet people drove through some flooding.
Yeah. So in my mind, it went pretty well. I can't think, Kristen and her department did a great job getting people through there. In my technology department, Adam, Nicole, Tommy, Jet, they wiped 2,000 iPads.
They did do a great
in a
job.
couple of weeks. They put a lot of, it was an iPad misery for a while. They just stared at them, and so they did a great job. I'm gonna brag on my team a little bit, because since July, they've hung 190 interactive TVs, prepared 3,000 devices to go out, prepared these 3,000 devices to be sold. And at any time, I look at our work order system, and we only have about 10 for the whole county. So we was down to 2 for most of the summer, and then we got Tommy for a little while, and then we was down to 2 again for a while, and he's back. But they've worked really hard. They've got a lot done. And just while I'm here, you guys might hear complaints tomorrow saying that the internet's not working right. Well, it's not going to work right for the whole state, because the State Department is, I think Frontier is putting some new hardware in Charleston. So for all day tomorrow and some of the next day, the internet will be intermittent. Weavis will still work. All the internal stuff will still work, but the outside sites like Clever and whatever is outside of the internet world may not work. I don't think it'll affect any of our phones. It shouldn't, but it may affect phones at Birch River and Somersville Elementary. They'll still have their fax lines they can take and get calls from, but their main lines may come and go as the internet goes up and down. But I just want to make you guys aware of that too, because
Debbie, have you put that on Facebook?
I'm going to put that on Facebook, and I'll probably put that when I put out the call about the iPads. I'll just probably put a blurb in there about
That's
that.
good.
Yeah, I think the Kanawha County Schools announced that on Channel 8, I think, last night, because they were going to have the same problem, and I guess
It's the whole
most of the
state.
counties, yeah.
Well, it's the whole state. The way the internet works for the education system is we really don't purchase internet. We purchase point-to-point connections. So I purchase a point-to-point connection from each school to Frontier, and then I purchase a point-to-point connection from Frontier to Building 6 in Charleston. And at Building 6, it hooks into the Department of Education's internet, and they actually provide us our internet service and filter that. So they control, we have a private network amongst school systems. And so that's why it's going to be every education building in the state is they all connect to the Department of Education. And they're
That's-
upgrading their equipment.
Yeah, Building 6 is the one the state board meets in.
Mhm.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Kim, do we have any delegations?
No, sir.
Thank you. And 8A and B have been scratched. 9 action items. Discussion with possible action on the renewal of the contract with Savine Virtual Coaching for Teachers, Dr. Lee.
That's me. Sydney is the platform
Sydney.
that we use. We bought licenses with them previously. We are down to just having a few left, but we provide an individual coach that way with each of our new teachers or any of our teachers that principals deem that are struggling. So we need to buy another bundle of licenses.
And I'm assuming that's through federal.
Yes, yeah,
that
that's
you're here.
federal. A, B, and C are all through federal money. B is the math party, and this is pending that she gets her license. There's some money in the ARP grant that has to be used for enhancing after-school programming. And this is basically a software license where during after-school, of course, then they can use it during the day as well, but it's with math practice and movement.
Have you used this before? No, they don't have a license yet, right?
No. I've not used it, I've just been able to look at the preview, and then I met with the owner of the company. She was at the 21st Century Conference in Louisville, and I sat and met with her there.
And this would be paid out of what?
ARP funding that has to be used for enhancing after school. And then the third one is with Learning Ally. As you know, we have to provide training to all of our K-3 teachers and aides with reading instruction, and this is an online platform where they can do part of it online asynchronously, and then they can do part of it synchronously throughout the spring semester, which will meet our obligation of providing the reading instruction that they need. Any other questions?
Any questions for A, B, or C for Dr. Lee? Thank you. Okay, discussion with possible action on the contract with Team Viewer, Chris Henshaw.
This is just a renewal. We have this so that we can remotely help employees and students and get into our servers. So it's just a software that allows us to remotely help people and get into our servers. So we have had it for several years.
So technology money,
Yeah,
okay. Any questions?
it's probably going to be paid with COVID money until it runs out because it's remote support.
Any questions? Okay, next one's you as well. Discussion with possible action on contract with Advantage Tech.
That's my Tools for Schools money that I get every year. I'm going to buy new switches to go in our schools. It's off the state contract. All their switches are off the state contract. They're over it's over $100,000, so I have to get your approval.
Okay, any questions? F, discussion with possible action on the contract with Apple, and that's to buy 150 MacBook Air, 153-year Apple Care, 100 iPads, and 4 touch case keyboards for the iPad, and that's you as well.
Yeah, that's on the refresh this year, we didn't have enough money to do all new MacBooks for the elementary teachers, and so we're spending some of our COVID money to get all the teachers a new MacBook, and that is going to be spare iPads to be placed in each school.
And I'm assuming that was already in the budget, in the.
Yeah, it was already approved before.
Right, okay.
And that's Apple's sole source. We're not allowed to buy Apple products from anybody but Apple.
Any questions or discussion? Thank you, sir. Next, discussion with possible action on the contract with Emily McPherson. Ms. Lydia.
It's a contract for SPLA to speech and language pathology assistant to cover maternity leave at Birch River while one of our speech therapists is off. And it probably won't be that long because she's already had the baby.
So it's just Birch River?
I believe just Birch River, yeah. Miss Christie covered a couple days this month to get us through till January.
Any questions for Ms. Young? Thank you.
Thank you.
Do we have a motion to approve action items A, B, C, D, E, F, and G?
I made that motion.
Mr. Berry makes a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Moose. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Consent items. Finance. Are you thawed out?
Pardon me?
Are you thawed out?
Yeah, just now. It was chilly.
It was chilly.
You got somebody turn the heat on in here, didn't you?
Oh, no, I'm talking about at that hangar today.
Oh,
Yeah.
It was cold.
she was sitting there chilling.
Oh, yeah, I'm cold in here anyway, so I'm always cold, but not nearly as cold as the people who waited outside.
That's true.
So, yeah. Okay.
Okay, payment of current invoices.
Yeah, everything was sent to you guys in advance. I didn't have anything extra that I had to walk in. So do you have any questions about the invoices?
Kristen, could you explain, just real quick for me again, trying to educate myself, the P card, I guess, controls on it, where people purchase on it, what all steps it goes through for you to get to approval to the board?
Okay, so for the purchase order, or the P card, they still have to do a purchase order, unless it's for their travel. And if it's for like travel reimbursement, they're not required to do PO in order to do that. So, we have a record of everybody who's issued a, county issued purchase card. And, it's in their name, it's not in the
Okay.
name of the school, so, we're gonna pay it, but it's in each person's name. So you couldn't just give your card to somebody else to use. And so there are very strict guidelines through the state about that. And so if there are certain things that come up as a flag, and I don't really have a list of those, but the state monitors that very well to make sure that there isn't any kind of strange activity that's being put on the purchase card. And so as far as on the payment of current invoices, you'll see, let me see if I can find one.
Is that submitted to the state before the payment, or?
Well, the state we go through U.S. Bank, but that goes through the state treasurer. So the state treasurer sees all the transactions that are on the P card. So their office monitors.
They go there automatically?
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah, so the state, they monitor those.
Okay.
Like if you look at page 2 of 14 in your check register, you'll see that those check numbers are smaller than our normal check numbers, and it says up there P card. So those are individual charges that were made on the P card to those vendors. But then somewhere else in here, you'll also see for that same amount of money, a check written to U.S. Bank. So it's not that we're double paying these, but that's just how we have to do it on the WEBIS system, is to show, okay, Frontier, West Virginia, we had $26,000. We're actually paying U.S. Bank, but we wanted to be able to show how much money we had charged to each vendor. So that's why that kind of looks a little bit funky when you are looking at the paid invoices. So that's, all these ones that are marked P card, that's just showing you detail of what was put on that P card for that month.
So how many P cards do we have out?
Not all of the schools have one, but most of the schools, their principal has one. And then most of our directors have one here. So we don't have a whole lot.
When they first brought those out, all the board members had one, or you could get one. Of course, and then later the state took those back. So board members don't have them now.
There, some of the principals didn't want to have one, but then as time has gone on, a few have changed their mind. They used to have it if they were going to purchase from Amazon. But now we have a different agreement with Amazon, so they don't necessarily have to have that. But I think there's still a couple of holdout schools that didn't want to have a P card.
So other than travel, if I was going to order something, put it on the P card, I'm a principal or whatever, I have to call and get a purchase order from the central office, is that what you're saying?
Right,
Okay.
right. Yeah, or they might, if they have a school P card, they will do a purchase card through their, if they're paying with school money, they'll do their own purchase through their school money. But if they're doing it with levy money that we hold here at the board, then yes, they have to put in a requisition, and then I approve that requisition before they can make that order.
Not to put you on the spot, because you probably won't know this right off the top of your head, but at the end of last year, how much did we actually save or make using the P card?
I would have to look, I'm not sure exactly, but every quarter we get a percentage of our P card usage, and I think that the last quarter that was about $18,000. So, I mean, using that as an estimate.
Okay,
It's,
thank you.
yeah, it's.
And that's through United Bank who would pay, and they have
Right,
a similar
well,
program, the more you use it.
Yeah.
Right, and I might have misspoken, United Bank, we had previously, but the state puts that out for bid, and so we are currently using US Bank. But
Oh, yeah.
We've used United, we've used US Bank, and who did we have last time? Yeah, we've used, every year they put it out for bid, so we just go with whatever bank they're using. So, but there's always a rebate.
Any other questions on payment of current invoices? Okay.
Okay. All right, the next item is supplements and transfers. Let's see if there's anything out of the ordinary. Chris takes, he tries to take $400,000 of his allocation every year and set it aside to do his refresh for his iPads and laptops. So that's what this first item is. That's just putting that into a different project number so that we can kind of save that money out for whenever it's time to replenish our iPad supply.
So the money you took in today
Right.
will
went
go
into
back
that same
into
account.
technology, correct?
Right.
Total amount 800,000.
That's, let's see, he's doing $400,000 a year. So that is, let me see why that looks funny. Yeah, that's just the way that we had to have it budgeted. So yeah, it looks like $800,000, but we really only moved $400,000. And then our federal title grants came in, so most of these items are where we have budgeted for the exact amount of title funding that we received. So there's nothing really out of the ordinary there. And then the last item is Chris's Tools for Schools grant that he mentioned earlier. There are no questions with that. The next item is the November Treasurer's Report. Nothing really significant to report about that, unless you have questions.
Chris, I do have one question. Sure, whatever. Under the capital, I under your capital projects fund, it totals up, state sources, federal sources, and it totals to 145 million. I have to assume that's FEMA money, but the FEMA mediated agreement was for 177 million.
Right, that's just what was carried into this fiscal
So it's
year.
just to carry out, okay,
Right.
so
Yeah.
that makes sense. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, so then if you look over to the right to the budget balance, that 97.4 is pretty close to the number
Yeah.
that we
Yeah, we
mentioned
got that.
previously.
Tax revenues coming in
Mhm.
ahead or behind? Or
Slightly behind what we've done last year, but that's just probably a timing issue.
I did have one question too. It looks like on, just trying to think where that was, that we had a lot of money in checking account compared to the savings account. And the BB&T, it was right under that capital project fund. What page is that? I don't know what your all's processes are, or how you all look at that, and where interest rates are up now, obviously it can draw some interest, but it looks like we had $5 million in BB&T checking, about 460 in the savings, about 256 on the CD. I didn't know what your all's process is, you had to get approval, or if you just move that regularly, or don't move it, but.
We move it when necessary, and it just so happens that right now we have a lot of checking, we have a lot of payments to our construction companies that that's gonna change from time to time. Sometimes we're down, sometimes we're up. But also, if you'll note down there, the UNB, we have $19 million
Yeah, see that.
in that. So that's where the bulk of our savings is.
Do you know what kind of interest those are drawing?
Not off the top of my head, I don't. I'll have to look at
Okay,
that and let
that's
you know.
fine, that's fine.
Those have fluctuated some. They're, they're a little bit better than they used to be. And then, that checking, we want to have enough in there, but that.
Yeah, I don't know what
that
your rule is,
swings.
what you're trying to do, but I forgot about the big construction draws that you would have, like
Right.
elimination stuff, and that would affect it.
Yeah, so we just want to cover ourselves, and then, sometimes if we do an earlier payroll, like we've done around the holidays, we need to have that cash available to cover those before our state money comes in, so it's, we do change that from time to time, but not super often, because we want to make sure to.
Yeah, for the longest time, interest rates weren't there, but they're definitely have pushed up. They're talking about coming back down, but you take 4% even of $1 million, that's 40 grand a year. And divide that through, it doesn't amount up managing your cash as important.
Yeah, well, if you look at our interest revenue there.
That's good, yeah. That is revenue on that one in the first page.
We had budgeted 350 for this year, and we've already hit 379.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So we're going to do well on
What page is that? What page is that?
This is on the very first page under the revenue.
First one.
Yeah, the current expense thing, they got the interest.
that. It's the next report. It's the next report.
On down?
Yeah,
Oh, it's under financial statements, yeah. I'm sorry.
Okay. Gotcha.
yeah, it's a few pages from where you are.
I'm all right.
That's all the questions I had.
Okay, the next item that I have is change orders for the construction, M&H, both for M&H construction.
They need to change who they address it to.
Well, I told her, if you'll notice, the one is addressed to Kevin Hess, and then I emailed her and I said, can you change that? So the second one is correct.
Nothing against Kevin, but he
Yeah.
left us.
Yeah. So these are for where we made the adjustment for the fields, the preparation of the fields. So that's deleting sub-drainage and curbing and adding topsoil and hydro seeding for the fields that we're not going to have turf. And so that was number 7. And then number 8 is regarding some maintenance for erosion control and mowing. So number 7 decreased the amount that we were gonna owe, and then number 8 went back up a little bit, but still a net decrease in our contract amount with M&H. And one other item I just wanted to tell you that, because I received it today, we got an invoice from the city of Richwood for a floodplain development permit that we had apparently gotten before, but it expired, so we had to renew. And because we're renewing and the amount of our project is more, I guess, than it was when we originally got the permit, they want to charge us $30,000 for another permit. So, I mean, I just wasn't expecting that invoice. It might be fine. I'm gonna check on that and make sure.
But is that for where the parking lot area was there on that property, or? I know we paid that one time.
Yeah, we did. We paid for a permit before, but then now we're renewing the permit and they're charging us more because the amount of the project is more,
How much was the
from what I
first?
can gather.
6,000, I think, the first time. wasn't it?
I'm not sure.
I'm
I'll have
not-
to look.
yeah.
Yeah, we
We
just got
paid
this
a lot
today,
of
so I
permits.
need to check on it. But, I mean, I was not expecting it and it seemed like a lot, so I'll check on it.
So you get a permit, you have to renew it annually?
Well, this says
Not
that,
normally, you don't.
maybe. This was issued on April 27th, 2021. So I don't know if we should have done that earlier. I'm sure that this probably came through Skanska. They probably said we need to have this renewed. So I just need to check on it and make sure
Yeah,
that
this
it's.
came in the mail today, and I gave it to Kristen at the end of the day after she'd been over there froze all day. So she hadn't had a chance to really look at it yet.
Right. So I just wanted to mention it.
ZMM renews those permits for us, and when I talked to them about it, they said the first permit we got should have covered that whole site. And there was just, I think they thought that it was gonna be a zero cost permit, so they was just kind of playing along and renewed the permit.
Yeah, usually when you get a permit like that, it lasts, you may have to renew a fee or a license fee, but not the whole permit normally.
So you check that out with ZMM?
Yeah, I'll check that out and see what they say and maybe call the city and see what I can find out
But
from
the city,
them. But I just
the
wanted to let you
city's
know.
actually invoicing us, it's not
Right.
whoever the permit, is the city the permit holder?
Right, I guess we're applying to the city for the permit. So, yeah, this letter is signed by the floodplain administrator of the city of Richwood. And I also wanted to mention one other thing that doesn't need to be approved or anything, but you were talking about the commissioner wanting use of the track, possibly. When you guys are talking about what you want to do with that, I also just wanted to point out that we have to pay the county for parking at the park. So we don't own the parking, and they charge us several $1,000s a year.
Yeah, and that track, not to open up big can of worms or whatever, and I understand it, the public won't want it, but it costs a lot of money if you damage those tracks, and it's to police it as far as, even garbage, but then they'll get off onto the field, and you say, well, they won't because they're responsible adults are using it. Once you open that up, a lot of people walk that park, and you just walk around that stadium, that whole thing's a track almost. I walk out there a lot, so I don't see the advantage of having to get right on the track. I know that the Armory, they used to open up in the winter for a walking track, the city did, but yeah, I think you need to really discuss that before, and I'm as public and as civic as they can to use these facilities. I believe in that, but you really, it's not just as easy as just opening the gate up.
Well,
You tear that track up, and you're going to have some costs.
and are you gonna, if you open that up, you're gonna have kids in there, they're gonna be up in the bleachers, they're gonna be
On the field.
on the field.
Riding their bikes on the track. That same issue came up at Richwood, and the athletic people absolutely opposed it because they said, we can't control it, and there's too much of a chance that there will be injury or damage to the facility, and They said, we've tried to do that before, and we get people in there riding bicycles on the track and messing around in the bleachers. And
Well, yeah, I don't know how liability it would be, people climb around the bleachers and somebody falls and gets hurt. I pretty well guarantee the coaches won't be for it. We've been through that before.
yeah, right.
I think it'd be a good thing.
But it's a good point that we do have to pay the county for the parking around the facility itself. But we have to put gravel in there and have some maintenance on it.
So the comment you first made, that was after your meeting with county commission.
Yeah,
Craig's one of that.
They asked for a meeting. And he asked if he could meet with me, and he asked me if I would consider that. I said, well, I have to share that with my board, have to talk to the administration of the high school. But that's what we've done, or we will do. I'll talk to you all, I'll talk to Candy, I don't know when, but I'll talk to her as soon as I can. And, but I understand all your concerns, and I do understand.
Well, it's just like that walking the track up there at Richwood, commemorative one, constantly picking up trash up there.
Yeah.
And you're probably gonna have the same thing over here. I mean, if you turn them loose.
People are people.
Not all,
No,
some
not
are
all.
respect-filled, but it only takes a few to mess it up for everybody.
Yeah.
We really do also have a good place to walk out there at the park. It's all flat,
Lots
it's
of
just all
alternatives.
I mean, there's a lot of alternatives right
Lots of
there.
alternatives.
And the city's in the process of building a big park also. So I'm sure my phone will ring tomorrow.
He said, it, not me.
No, it'll be after it gets out.
That's what, well, a couple days, that's all right. It's just my opinion on it.
Thank you, Kristen. Okay, do we have a motion to accept consent items A, finance 1, 2, 3, and 4, and the contracts under 4A and B for the change orders?
I so move.
Mr. Moose makes a motion. Do we have a second?
Second. Go ahead, Mr. Barrett.
Second by Mr. Berry.
Doesn't matter. Yeah,
Any
say.
discussion? All in favor? Aye. That brings us to personnel. And other than the cross through on A, none of the personnel have changed, correct?
That's correct.
We have an interim principal at Cherry River right now, don't we?
Pat Matheny.
Yeah, okay.
Any questions on personnel? Okay, do we have a motion to accept the personnel agenda as presented?
Make a motion.
Mr. Green makes a motion, seconded by?
Second.
Second by Mr. Ferguson. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay, reports. Number 12, SESC, Mr. Ferguson.
Nothing to report, we haven't met since the last meeting.
Okay. Bright Horizons, Mr. Green.
Nothing to report right now.
Number 13, items for future agendas. We can always add to that, sir.
Did we move up the construction floor plan approval to January the 8th? Does that need to be noted in the agenda?
It does not.
Okay. That's the only thing I knew about.
Okay, future meeting dates. Regular meeting, Monday, January 8th, 2024. That is a change. Monday, January 8th, 2024. That's at the Nicholas County Board office. And then a special LSIC meeting on January 9th. And that will be at Nicholas County High School at 5 o'clock. And then regular meeting, January 22nd, here at the board office at 6 o'clock. Any questions on those? And at this time, we need to have an executive session to discuss a property matter. So I need to have a motion on that.
I'll make the motion.
Mr. Barron makes a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Green. That's to discuss a property issue. All in favor? Aye. Opposed?